Hey, this is Ben from Endseeker, and you're listening to Interview Under Fire.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode of Interview Under Fire. This is your host, Sunny, this time along with Ben Liepelt. Hopefully I said that right. I know we talked about a pre-interview. He gave me the thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining the IUF podcast series today. This is an exciting time coming up here in the next couple of months for you and the rest of the guys over at Endseeker with the release of your third studio album, Mount Carcass, drops April 16th on Metal Big Records. First things first, I want to commend you guys on all of the well-deserved reactions it's been getting so far, especially with that devastating single, Unholy Rites, that dropped recently. So much to unravel about all this, Ben, but I'm going to ask a very important question, again, which we talked about pre-interview. How are you? I know it's a big question, but it's a simple one, considering what's been happening in the world as of late. How's life in Germany, man?
Well, actually, it could be much worse, so it's okay. We are in kind of a lockdown, but that's not too strict, not too hard. So we're allowed to go out and meet a certain number of people, and it depends from area to area, of course. But yeah, the weather turned out pretty well over the last 2 weeks or something. And I'm right in the middle of promoting our new record, so I'm busy as hell, and but it's good times. So I'm really looking forward to like the numbers going down, so we can do more stuff. Weather getting better, we can do more stuff outside. Let's just get out of this whole thing a little bit, and get back to normal.
I think we are also on the other side of this entire craziness. I know like a few months ago it was already as bad enough, but I don't know if you've seen the news as far as like what's happening in the US. So like I said, I'm in Texas. As far as weather, we actually didn't have any power last week because we're not meant to be in the snow. We had 2 snowstorms last week, and I'm glad we were able to do this interview because without power for 4 days, without water for 2 days, it was a very different situation, and we made worldwide news. I don't know if you even knew that. it was nuts. Yeah, I mean, on top of our pandemic. Anyway, I digress. That's a whole different episode.
Yeah,
we were talking about that. But
I just heard about that on the side. To be honest, I was so focused on everything else. But yeah. Hey, we got crazy news over here as well. So.
And life as of late, like we talked about, many of us have also been away from the stage a lot. Fans and musicians alike. But how are you keeping up your guitar chops these days, Ben? Is that affecting your musicianship? Has anything changed for your routine-wise lately, if at all?
Actually not, because we're able to rehearse. So we rehearse on the regular terms that we used to do. And since we just came out of studio by the end of November, that's not too long ago, so I'm still I still know how to play the songs.
That's good.
I try to keep in shape guitar-wise, because we're preparing for our record release streaming show on April 18th. We try to prepare a pretty cool live set for everybody. So we have to rehearse for that, because obviously all the older songs we haven't played in a while. Since we're just focusing on songwriting and album recording during the last year. But yeah, we're getting back in shape. We're getting there, and feels good.
Yeah, and I do want to touch on the live streaming here in a second. But, as far as your band, Endseeker, you guys formed in 2014, but you've been at this for a while, Ben, even whether it's with Endseeker or Buried in Black, your other band. And I want to ask, how was the touring life for you personally? And because I think you've done some extensive touring throughout your career already. You played at Summer Breeze, Partisan Festival, Meltdown Festival, just to name a few. And now we're all kind of just taking an unexpected step back. And does it make you have a growing appreciation of the touring life now?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like touring and playing shows was something that was always there in my life for the last, 30 years or something. And I just couldn't imagine that this would just disappear like this,
Of course.
And last year, when the pandemic hit us and the first shows got canceled, we thought like, yeah, okay, maybe this shit is over in 2 months or whatever, and we can get back to normal, So yeah, hurry up, everybody, whatever it is, a stupid virus, who cares? But all of a sudden, like, we got 30 shows or whatever canceled, and we're just like, fucking hell, what's going
Yeah.
on? This is terrible. Um, and yeah, suddenly, after a while, I really regretted every concert that I didn't go to just because I was too lazy. You know, I was, that, oh,
I can relate to that 1,000
and
percent.
whatever is in town, yeah, somehow I would like to go, but damn, Netflix and chill is fine too. And I was like, oh man, when this is over, I go to every show. I'm not gonna miss a single show because it's terrible. And they can,
I no, I was gonna say I look forward to the day being at a show and talking to somebody and saying, "Hey, you remember the Netflix and chill life, like the pandemic life?" Now we're talking about, "Hey, remember the show life?" And I don't know how it was for you. I was at a show every week before this entire lockdown started, and
yeah,
it was kind of funny how you mentioned how the first 2 months were great for me. I didn't realize how much of a homebody I was. I was like, oh wow, I can get all this shit done, and then I got it done. And then we're like 3 months in, then 4 months in. I'm like, okay, this is starting to really settle in. Like, I'm talking to you right now, Ben, and I've done over 100 of these episodes, and I didn't realize I'd be doing a podcast series a year ago.
yeah,
Like I said, I don't mean to sound like a broken record. I usually do these interviews in person, which hopefully we'll get to that. Once you guys do come to Dallas, do another follow up. But a very popular topic that I want to talk about is live streaming, and we did touch on this recently. And you guys do have one scheduled for April 18th for that live stream.
right.
In lieu to that album, Mount Carcass. But I wanted to ask, considering the amount of experience you've taken in throughout your 30-year career and the venues you've played, the fans you've encountered, the collaborations you've had with many different artists, many talented different artists, do you think that the quarantine-induced live streaming surge we're seeing right now from all these bands, is that going to affect the touring musician business going forward in your eyes? Like, do you still see bands doing something like this even after all this is over?
No,
Hmm.
no, I don't think so. Just because the experience is a total different, and especially in metal, I think it might work for other music genres, but for metal, it's like being in this sweaty, stinking, horrible club, like caged in with a bunch of drunken guys, and everybody's broing around and whatever, spilling beer over you. This is a heavy metal concert. You
Yeah.
need the people, you need the smell, you need the beer, you need the merchandise. You have to buy the merch at the stand with the band and stuff, and get shit signed. And this is it. I mean, it's a community, right?
Mhm.
Local concerts, you meet a lot of friends and you meet a lot of people that you are somehow friends with, but you only meet them at concerts. And streaming shows, you sit alone at home with your beer, and it's hard to follow a whole show with the concentration, I think. I mean, like, after 20 minutes or whatever, okay, it's nice. So what else is going on? You start
Yeah.
getting distracted or whatever, checking your Facebook, Instagram, and I mean, it's a substitute for live concerts, but not 100%. Maybe like 60%, and it's better than nothing. But I think as soon as touring is possible again, oh, man, like let's get back to the real thing, right? So I think we didn't play any streaming show yet. Last year we thought like, we're not doing this. This is death metal in an empty club, just a bunch of cameras. It's not gonna work. But after now having 1 year or more than 1 year without a show, it's like, dude, I go on every stage, just put a camera there, and now I'm on it. Just I want to play. I want to go out there somehow.
Yeah.
So that's why we set up this streaming show, and we try to make it a little bit more than just a concert. So
Yeah, and I'm gonna be tuning in for that streaming show, and I'm gonna write a review for it. So keep an eye out for that. So I know you guys are gonna kill it. The thing about metal is what makes metal unique is the live experience. I mean, when you're on stage, there's that whole different type of energy that is unmatched. At least from my perspective, I know you can vouch for that as well, considering how long you've been in the business. And Why is this? Am I in the corner of my room? Because I've moshed everywhere in the other parts of my room. Considering, I mean, that's great, but how much longer can I mosh in my own room for? And you did the live streaming, and then how much more creative can you get? Because we've had bands like we've had Nilo from Insomnium on the show, and he talked about his experience on selling tickets to the fans and then doing a pre-recorded show. I've had artists who say, yeah, I would love to do live streaming because it just allows me to engage with my fans. And some artists would say, I'm not doing shit until all this is over. So there's no right or wrong answer to it. I love asking that question. You put it perfectly. Now, let's talk about something that is going to be, out soon. The third album, Mount Carcass. I know we've talked about everything except the album, but comes out April 16th on Metal Blade. I'm really excited about this. This is the follow-up to the 2019 Harvest. And as far as traditional old school death metal and modern, it was so raw, so organic, angry with punk vibes. Right then, I was like, wow, I'm already in for another treat. Powerful guitar hooks. And it was melodic at the same time. It took me back to bands like Bolt Thrower, Slayer, even Dismember. I'll even throw Morbid Angel in there. Songs like Unholy Rites to the title track, to the instrumental John Carpenter cover, Escape from New York. Okay, I'm going to stop talking here because I could just go on forever on this. So, knowing that you guys did spend half a year crafting the album, Ben, how much did things change from when you first started composing on Mount Carcass to where you ended up finishing it? Was it already a specific sound you guys already had in mind for this album?
Well, we were talking about the next album before we started with the songwriting process, but then we were talking about an album coming out in 2020. 22, and yeah, we wanted it to be a little rougher and a little raw than the Harvest, so getting a little crazy on that. But as soon as we really said, okay, let's start writing a new record now because we cannot play, we just threw all of this out of our heads when we just started writing songs, from the guts. It's just bam, it just came out, and somehow everything went on so naturally and so easily because we were able to just focus on the songwriting. We had no shows, no tours that were interrupting our creative process, and you don't have to be prepared for shows. You don't have to play the set. Just new stuff, just new riffs, new songs, new demos, and we had tons of time. We had no time schedule at all, and at some point we said, okay, let's go into studio by November. And then we booked the studio, and we knew, okay, we have to be done at this and that point. But we were pretty much done very early. I think in September everything was done,
Okay.
and we had a complete pre-production. We had a vocal production. We were fine-tuning stuff. Okay, let's do this and that fill, and it's just everything was absolutely set, and we were just rehearsing to get fit as a band, to get into the studio and nail that shit. And we decided to, okay, let's keep this more organic, even production-wise. The drums are not triggered. There are no trigger signals at all on the drums. It's just the pure drums that you hear, and we make, I think, for my taste, a crazy good guitar production. I really love the guitar sound. It's more brutal than on the last record, and yeah, it has a good feel to it. I can really feel the band playing the songs, and I'm really happy with the outcome.
See what I mean? We can't stop saying good things about it. That's a good thing when it comes from you. Now, Mount Carcass, something I want to mention. You talked about the production. The record was it was recorded, produced, mixed, and mastered by, is it Ike?
Ike.
Ike Freeze, and he's known for his work with Heaven Shall Burn, Deep Purple, Alice Cooper, Halloween at the Chameleon Studios in Hamburg, Germany. Was there a sense of comfortability in the studio for you and the guys, Ben, knowing that Ike was working on the record for you?
Sure, because Ike did all of our previous records as well, and
right.
We know him for ages. He's a super close friend, and he's yeah. This is more family. Yeah, this is more family, you know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
every time we go into studio with him, it's like coming home, you know. You're super familiar with everything, and his workflow is super cool. He gives you a great feeling while you're tracking your stuff, and he's always motivating. He's always positive. He has great ideas, and he's a great guy to work with, and even he's a great guy to hang out with and party with. He's a class A human being, you know. Really
You
love
know,
him.
yeah, between writing and structuring the songs and the production process, like you talked about, the title Mount Carcass, and I was really excited to get to this point. The title Mount Carcass and the lyrics of the song is derived from. It's a metaphor for our modern society using the image of the ascent of Mount Everest. I thought that was very unique. It's considering I just saw the movie Everest not too long ago, so this went hand in hand. And it's about the commodification of ascending that mountain and the business that whole thing has turned into. And
Yeah.
then you have a song like Frantic Redemption, which is about a famous bear nicknamed Pablo Escobar who died from eating
Pablo Escobar.
$50 million worth of cocaine. And then you have a song like Merciless Tide about the growing world of so-called conspiracy theories. I love that because this reference is like Pizzagate, Kanan, Flat Earthers. Like, oh my goodness gracious. And this is also a political record. So let me ask you this, to what level do you guys like to have a theme for your music, and how important are themes to you?
I think they're very important because this is the music is an outlet for us, and not also on the musical side, but also on the emotional and
Mm-hmm.
intellectual side. You know, because we're all like thinking human beings, and we have stuff that we carry around with us, and shit going on in the world affects us. You know, we talk about this. You know, when we're sitting in the tour bus for endless hours, of course we talk about everything. You know, also political stuff because we're all grown ups, you know. We are political persons, you know,
Yeah.
and the whole pandemic that showed us all that the world is so small, you know, and stuff that's happening at the other end of the world can affect your life like this, you know, and change everything. And then you have the different styles that the governments and politicians deal with international crisis and stuff. And I mean, that's not new stuff. You know, we have seen this on endless crisis before, but Corona or COVID was a completely new scale on this, I think. And yeah, so the the lyrical content is pretty important, but we don't want to make it too head heavy, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
okay, there are some political songs on this, and that's cool. But we also want the entertaining stuff, you know, like Unholy Rites, which is just a goofy zombie
I
song.
love that music video.
Yeah, because you know, but there was just you know, this song it had just
Yeah.
a positive party vibe. You know, when we wrote this, we thought like, man, this is a death metal party song. You know, it just want to make you move, and so let's have some positive or like funny lyrics on it. So we wrote this zombie stuff. Then of course we have the political stuff like Count the Dead or Merciless Tide. And we have those weird animal stories that we used to have on all our albums with Moribund and Frantic Redemption.
Right, right.
Yeah,
It's the way I see it when someone says, I mean, it's a political record. I don't like to look at it just like that. You write about what you want to write about. If it's a political record, you think you have to subject it to that. You have to limit it to that. But you guys aren't about that. It's about what interests you. What do you have a passion for? What do you want to write about? So many people will say, and I know there's a whole bunch of them. You've seen it. They'll say, "Oh, you shouldn't talk about politics. You're in music." No, that's
that's
not the way. I just think that just diminishes the creativity there because
right,
what you're passionate about, you should be allowed, at least I think, to express it through any form of media you want.
right.
I don't know.
I mean,
That,
it's art, you know, and art
yeah,
per se has always been political. And it's not that we tell people you have to believe this or that, or you have to vote for this guy or that guy, whatever. It's not that, you know. It's just we're
hmm,
expressing our feelings about certain stuff, and either you agree or you disagree. But man, that's fine, you know. Have your own opinion, whatever, you know. But like telling musicians, "Oh, shut up about politics," that's bullshit. You know, it's not
yeah,
how it works. Because politics is nothing that is detached from
And
music or the other way
anything,
around.
or even I'll even throw sports in there. You know,
Yeah,
whatever you have, you can use
whatever you
that
have.
venue. Anyway,
It's
yeah,
it's all there's these are all aspects and parts of life in general. So
exactly.
man, we want to sing about it. Fuck yeah, we do it. You know,
Do
you
you
don't want to hear
see?
it, turn it
Hey,
off.
if you don't want to hear it, don't.
There are
And
like 10 million bands out there, that might not say something that's uncomfortable for you. Go
yeah,
listen to them.
and
It's a free world.
us metalheads are fine with that. Yeah, so just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Do you see Mount Carcass as a snapshot of where you are in a certain time of your life, looking back, Ben?
of course, absolutely. So this definitely will be our COVID record, in the history books, in
Yeah.
our very small band history book. It's gonna be that COVID record because it was made under those weird and hopefully unique circumstances, and we will always remember how everything happened now. I mean, like putting out The Harvest in October 19, and we played, I think, 12 shows with that record, and we were planning to tour throughout 2020 with that record, and it just got screwed, and suddenly we find ourselves in the rehearsing room writing a new record, and it feels a little bit like, cheating on your
Previous one.
girlfriend
Oh,
record, that you just like, oh, sorry, I just created you, but there's a new one. So, thanks. See ya.
I have a
It's
new
weird.
passion.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the one way to look at it. From the different experiences and perspectives in your timeline that you have taken in, which we have discussed about so far, whether it's with Endseeker or Buried in Black, playing all the festivals you have, Summer Breeze, Meltdown, 30 years in the industry. Have your aspirations as a person, have they changed or evolved since when you first started performing in the industry? Like, do you see things differently today?
sure, of course. I mean, would be terrible if I didn't. Like I'm a learning and evolving person, and yeah, things are different. I learned a lot on the way when I when I went on my first big tour. That must have been like 2004 or something. I was playing in a whatever band back then, and we were touring in Germany with Soulfly, which
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
oh, crazy. And they were huge at that time. So we were playing like 2,000 or 3,000 capacity venues. That was absolutely crazy. But we were sleeping in sleeping bags, on the pavement because we couldn't afford a hotel. We're living like bums. It was crazy back then. And I learned a lot on that way, and I've seen a lot, and like what are the touring routines of bigger bands? What can you learn from them? How do they
Mhm.
handle this and that? What is the efficient way for doing sound checks, all this stuff. When you start making music, you're a lunatic, like doing crazy stuff, wasting time, spending time and money on the wrong things, and yeah, but the longer you do this and the more you're on the road, you really know, okay, these are the essentials, I have to take care about this first, and everything else comes after that. So and yeah, of course, there's some kind of disillusionment in
Mhm.
everything. Um,
It just seems
because
like everything you're talking about. 2004. Ironically enough, that was I remember seeing Dimebag at a show 2 months before he got shot on stage. Insane, and it like you're talking about 2004. That seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, you could talk about it was 17 something years ago, but doesn't it seem like I can't believe I lived that life? I don't know. Has that
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like now we're
absolutely.
here, it almost seems unreal that we are going to return to that life sooner than later, hopefully.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's it's true. It's crazy. It's absolutely weird. As I said in the beginning, like who would have expected something like this to happen, and
of course.
those kind of major changes in all our lives, and all of a sudden, it's crazy. If you would have asked me like 2 years ago, I would have said, no way, that's impossible. That's
Right,
impossible.
of course. I'm going to leave you off with this here. I'm going to end something kind of fun here. 5 favorite albums you can think of at the top of your head. It's been a while since I asked this to one of my guests, but I'm going to
Oh my
ask you.
God. Oh my God.
Putting you
Okay.
on the spot.
Okay, like since you're sitting in Dallas, then of course it's a Pantera album that I named first,
Yeah.
and I I love all of their albums actually, but what stands a little out for me is Far Beyond Driven.
Yes, that is my favorite too. I knew. Okay, I'm glad you said that.
Just basically just because it contains my favorite song probably of all time, which is I'm Broken.
Yeah,
Um, so if
very
you can play
underrated
that
song
song
actually
on
for
my
me. Yeah,
funeral, I absolutely love that song.
you heard it here first, guys. All right, what you
And
got for the other four?
That's awesome. And okay, so this, um, then we go to Megadeth. So far, so good. So what? It's my
Excellent.
favorite album of Megadeth. He's so angry on that album, and so punkish and raw. It's great. Bolt Thrower, hard to pick one. Maybe Those Ones Loyal or For Victory.
I would out of those two, probably those ones loyal, just because that was probably the first bolt thrower exposure I've ever had. But I mean, everyone. I mean, you could pick any album in
Yeah,
their discography. So
any Bolt Thrower album is absolutely majestic. It's great. So well, that was three, right?
yeah, that's three.
Um, Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss,
Excellent.
and maybe one that's a little bit out of that, King's X, Dogman.
Oh wow, that is out of yeah. That actually even shows your growth in your musicality. Just that five alone.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
might.
I could have thrown like Alice in Chains, Dirt in it or whatever. There's so many good albums, or any Iron Maiden album. It's crazy, but so ask me in half an hour, and my five favorite albums may
It will
be something
change.
else. Or there's Master of Puppets in it.
Yeah.
I don't. But yeah, King's X Dogman is one of my all-time favorites. So.
Do me a favor, stick around just for 30 seconds after the interview. But before I finish things off here, do you have any last words, any shout outs, anything you'd like to plug in as far as Endseeker? I know you guys do have that live stream. Do you have, as far as my listeners, anything you want to shout out to them for seeing your live stream, where they can go to access that?
Yeah, sure. So we're playing this live stream on April 18th, and you can buy tickets at our Kings Road online store. You can buy bundles there with like different like vinyl things or CDs and stuff. And you can also buy single tickets, but that's over the homepage of the Knus in Hamburg.
Okay.
I think they're selling single tickets.
Right. That is the venue you are playing at, too.
Yeah, right.
I forgot
And
to
the
mention
crazy
that.
thing is,
No.
the crazy thing is, this is the venue where we had our last release show for The Harvest. And we played that club, and it was sold out, and there were more than 400 people in there. And it was such a great evening. And we're going to play this venue again this time, and it's going to be empty,
What you guys
And
should do is if you have one, do a side by side comparison of like you guys playing that live, and then have someone take a picture of you guys playing in an empty venue, just side by side, just showing the comparison of 2 years. I think that would be quite the dynamic if you were to put that out there for everyone to see.
It's going to feel pretty awkward, I know. Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna get out of this sooner or later. I'm betting on that. And everyone who's listening, this is Ben from Endseeker. Mount Carcass comes out April 16th on Metal Blade Records. Don't forget to buy the album if you can. Purchase the album because the bands can't do it without your help. Check out their live stream. Obviously, you can listen to this podcast on all major podcast streams: iTunes, Spotify, whatever platform you have. Check us out on our interview from underfire.com. Ben, this has been an honor. Let's stay in touch, and we'll do this next time, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. It was great fun. I hope to meet you in person one day, and I hope to meet everybody of the listeners in person one day and have a beer with them at the merchandise after our show.
And barbecue in Texas, because that's important.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
I know your eyes, bands of the tomb. My soul is solid, bringer of doom. Crawl to the surface, dig through the mud. Hungry for flesh, thirsty for blood.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. And also, if you guys have any questions or comments, you can find us at Interview Under Fire at Facebook or at Instagram. Or you can write us directly at schwag@interviewunderfire.com. That's SCHWAG at interviewunderfire.com. Or Rezablade. That's REZABLADE at interviewunderfire.